get back.
Hey guys, it's V. How are you guys doing? So I've been totally absent all weekend. Sorry about that. Kind of busy. I've actually been playing Pokemon trading card game online a lot. My sister in Colorado has been playing, and we've definitely been adding to our decks physically and then using codes to add to our online decks, and we both have some pretty rockin' decks right now. So that's been a lot of fun. So that's really how I spent any free time I had this weekend. I was playing freaking Pokemon. And I downloaded the Magic PC game. So I've kind of been working on that a little bit to try to better figure that out. So speaking of Magic, that's going to kind of set off what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. So you guys know I'm new to Magic and I'm learning the game, and it's absolutely awesome. But playing the PC training like tutorial or whatever, I noticed, you guys, that some of the artwork on the cards, which I think is some of the most amazing artwork I've ever seen, some of that artwork is done by Tony DiTerrlizzi. Do you guys know who that is? Okay, so Tony DiTerrlizzi is one of the best fairy artists I've ever seen. Now, I have been following fairy artists and artwork for years, probably since I was 13 or 14, which is a little while. So I have such a large collection of, book collections, and I've purchased, tons of prints and things like that over the years. And Tony DiTerrlizzi is one of my absolute favorite fairy artists. I cannot believe that I did not know he did magic artwork. So I thought I'd share some of his other stuff with you guys in case you didn't know about that. So the first time that I really kind of came in into Tony DiTerrlizzi's work, was in the series called the Spiderwick Chronicles. Now, as you guys know, it's been made into a movie, so I'm sure you guys have heard of that, but it actually started as a young adult book series. And I read all kinds of fairy fiction. I read documentaries, if you will, and I absolutely love fairy folklore, especially Irish Scottish fairy folklore. Now, there's fairy folklore from all different areas of the world, but that's probably my absolute favorite, and that's usually the most commonly known and represented in artwork. So anyway, so we have Spiderwick Chronicles here, and Holly Black is the author of these. Holly Black, she has written many young adults novels, some of which are like Teeth, Valiance, Ironside, I mean, those kinds of books. So Holly Black, if you're interested in that, she's a good author for that age group. I'm sure a lot of us are older and maybe you don't enjoy those as much as I do. I think they're great brain candy occasionally, but anyway, so she worked, and her and Tony DiTerrlizzi collaborated to come up with the story. She wrote the words, he helped with the story, and he did the artwork. So here's the original series. There's 5 of them in there. There's a little tidbit of the artwork. And on the covers of these, let me just grab a couple. I mean, you can kind of see artwork-wise what we're looking at here. It's a cute series. I'm not going to go into what it's all about. Check it out. I'm sure your library has it if you don't want to invest in the book, although these collector's edition hardbacks are adorable. It was so popular that he and Holly Black did a companion series. This is Beyond the Spiderwick Chronicles. There's 3, and again, I'll share some of his cover arts. So this is how I first kind of came across Tony DiTerrlizzi. I loved these books. They were so cute. They were kind of a bubble bath read. You could read one in like an hour. But I liked it so much that I went and got Arthur Spiderwick's Field Guide to the Fantastical World Around You. Now, the Field Guide is something they talk about in these books quite a bit. And Arthur Spiderwick is this character that's gone missing, but these children kind of find his history and his work was studying the world of fairy. So here's the cover of that book. And Tony DiTerrlizzi does all the artwork in here, and there is just some amazing things. You guys, here's a hobgoblin. And this is done in a style to where it's supposed to look like a handmade book done by Arthur Spiderwick. So there's like handwritten notes and, prints and things like that. But this one's my favorite. I actually want this one as a tattoo. I think this is beautiful. stunning beautiful. So I'm not going to go into all of these, but if you guys like magic artwork, please check out other stuff done by Tony DiTerrlizzi. Now, I'm not sure how many artists have done the magic artwork, but I'm going to look into that because now I'm fascinated. But his stuff is just amazing. This is just a small example of the things that he can do and has done. But I thought I'd also share with you some of my other fairy stuff. My absolute favorite fairy artist, if you guys like Tony DiTerrlizzi, you'll like Brian Froud. Brian Froud is known for like his work with Labyrinth and things like that. So this is kind of a collection of some of his most famous and most obscure paintings, things that are just very, very difficult to find and come across. A lot of his things I've had to special order and, you know, get things out of print or, you know, buy autographed copies because they're the only ones I could find to buy. So, I mean, his stuff's just amazing, absolutely amazing. A book that he did that I really find funny, and this is actually one of my favorite books ever, is Lady Coddington's Book of Pressed Fairies. It kind of goes along with the time period where women would press flowers into a book as like a summertime, springtime pastime. And let me see here how it starts. I was hoping it would have dates on there, but 1896, 1895. So that's the time period we're talking about. And rather than pressing flowers, this little girl could see fairies. And she would use that opportunity to press fairies and make an imprint of their spiritual being, not killing them, but just an imprint of them in this book with little journal entries. And it starts out with her childhood handwriting in these very short entries to moving on to where she is now an adult. She's still seeing fairies. And she's journaling about her experience not only with fairies, but with life. It is so stinking cute. I love this. I read it on a flight to St. Louis once, and it was like the best flight ever. So here's another artist. If you guys like Tony DiTerrlizzi, but you also like watercolor, she's really good. This is Stephanie Puman-Law. She does a lot with like watercolor washes and things like that. She is just phenomenal. I'm going to try to find, and here's one image here. She's just amazing. She doesn't use a large palette of colors, but she uses different amounts of water to really alter the image and give it depth. So that's really awesome. Now, if you like watercolor, I'm sure everybody is familiar with Amy Brown. Amy Brown is kind of a self-proclaimed artist. She kind of started on her own, and she kind of did a different technique. Now you see it more often. But it was definitely more original when she started. And what she does is she uses watercolor on dry paper. And most watercolor artists will do the opposite. They'll do wet washes and things like that. I also watercolor, so I know a little bit about that. But here's some of her stuff that I'm sure you guys are familiar with. There's that one. There's another one. There she is. So, you guys, Hot Topic worked with her for a really long time. They did all kinds of merchandise. Amazon has a huge line of Amy Brown products. Here's another one. This is Cicely Mary Barker. She does the flower fairies. Now, some people are familiar with this, and it always kind of surprises me because I don't remember seeing it anywhere until I actually looked for her. But I guess a lot of people have seen it. I know there's a lot of fabrics. Like if you go to a fabric store, you can actually find printed fabric and ribbon and things like that based off of her designs, which is really cool. And then, of course, you guys, the Disney fairies. I love the Disney fairies. I like Disney in general. But the whole story of Pixie Hollow and going into depth about Tinkerbell is just amazing. I love it. But the illustrations in here are so sweet. So, anyway, so that's my fairy chat, you guys. I love fairies. They're awesome, and if you like Tony DiTerrlizzi, check out lots of other artists. Brian Froud, like I said, is my favorite. There's so many products out there. I like the book collections that I can flip through and kind of read about the artist and read about the folklore. But even if you don't like that, but you still want the work, you guys, there's a lot of ways to get your hands on that. This book that I just showed you is The Fairies Oracle, and it's a companion book to the Oracle deck. And all the artwork here is done by Brian Froud. And whether or not you use tarot or you use oracle cards or whatever, the artwork alone can really be appreciated. I mean, I'm just randomly picking pictures here, you guys. It's amazing. He's really known for his images on top of images, where if you really look closely at his artwork, you're going to see faces everywhere in the background, in the foreground, and I mean, just stunning. His use of color, it's actually upside down. Use of color is just amazing, and he represents the energy of the being within most of his images. They're glowing, they have this iridescence about themselves, and it's apparent that it's not just to look pretty, it's actually representing the energy of the critters themselves. So yeah, check them out. I'm going to put some links to some of these artists below, so if you're curious, check it out. See you guys. Bye!